Chandrayaan mission, ISRO will launch unmanned flight tests as a part of its ambitious Gaganyaan human space flight mission. It is a significant step towards India's aspirations of crewed space exploration. The test will demonstrate whether the crew can safely escape the rocket in case it malfunctions. If successful, it will pave the way for other unmanned missions, including sending a rover into space next year. Now let's take a look at how this test works. The test involves a single-engine rocket that will carry a depressurized version of the Gaganyaan crew module to an altitude of approximately 17 kilometers. An abort signal will be transmitted, and if the escape system performs as expected, the crew module will separate from the rocket and deploy its parachutes before safely splashing into the Bay of Bengal. This test is uncrewed, focusing solely on the system's reliability. The key player in this endeavor is the Test Vehicle Demonstration 1, which is also known as TVD1, a single-stage liquid rocket. The true milestone of the Gaganyaan mission will occur only when ISRO sends a crewed spacecraft to an altitude of approximately 400 kilometers above Earth for a 3-day mission. As of now, this distinguished list includes the United States, the former Soviet Union, and China. Notably, China currently maintains a space station in orbit with 3 astronauts residing on board. For more on this, let me go across to my colleague Dharani, who joins us live. Dharani, now we are learning that the launch has been delayed by 30 minutes. It was said to be launched at 8 a.m. Now it's said to be launched at 8:30. What is the reason behind this delay?
The launch has been delayed by half an hour due to weather conditions and visibility reasons is what we're given to understand. Earlier, it was scheduled for 8 a.m. Now it has been postponed to 8:30 a.m. due to weather conditions and visibility reasons. And this testing exercise has been named as Flight Test Vehicle Abort Mission. And let me explain how this is going to work. This is a model of today's test vehicle that is going to be launched into the space. And this, it has 3 main components. One is the test vehicle. This is the test vehicle, component. And above the test vehicle, you will have the crew escape system and the crew module. This is the crew escape system, and the crew module, which is inside, will be attached to the crew escape system. So after the launch happens, at an altitude of about 11.7 kilometer, the test vehicle and the crew escape system will separate from each other. This part will separate. This is the test vehicle and this is the crew escape system. So both of these components, they'll separate from each other, and this will happen at an altitude of 11.7 kilometers. And after that, at an altitude of about 17 kilometers, 16.9 kilometers precisely, the crew escape system and the crew module, they will separate from each other. That is the second separation that will happen, and it will happen at an altitude of 17 kilometers. These 2 parts, the crew module, which is attached to the crew escape system, both of these parts, they will separate from each other. So this is how this whole process works. This is a model of today's test vehicle that's being placed in front of the Satish Dhawan Space Center here in Sriharikota. And a successful demonstration of this testing exercise will show the performance of the safety mechanisms that's been put in place, that will be put in place for the Gaganyaan crew to escape the spacecraft in case of an emergency during the original mission. And this whole testing exercise will last for about 9 minutes, and the peak relative velocity achieved during this testing exercise will be 363 meters per second. That will be the peak relative velocity achieved during this testing exercise, and it will last for about 9 kilometers, as I told. So as soon as the crew module and the crew escape system separate from each other, that is when the descending will happen. Parachutes will be deployed, and the descending will happen in the Bay of Bengal region. In today's testing exercise, the descending will take place approximately 10 kilometers from the Sriharikota coast. That's where the descending is scheduled to take place, and this will take place about 9 minutes after the launch happens. So definitely this is a very big day for ISRO, and everything has been put in place, and because of weather conditions and visibility reasons, now the launch has been postponed to 8:30 a.m. from 8 a.m. There is a half an hour delay, but nevertheless, the preparations are all are done. The last leg of checkings are also done, and let me show you the sky. So this is the sky outside the Satish Dhawan Space Center here in Sriharikota. Of course, you can see in the visuals clearly that the visibility is not very clear during in the early hours of the day around 5 a.m. There were mild rains in this region, and because of the mild rains, the visibility has gone down to a considerable extent, and that is why now this postponement of the launch time has been announced. So we'll have to wait and see how this is going to pan out in the next half an hour. But for the moment, the launch time is 8:30 a.m. Sharply at 8:30 a.m. The test vehicle will be put into space, and this mission will last for about 9 minutes, as I told.
Right, Dharani. Well, many thanks for joining us live and giving us all those important details. But I also want to know from you that if this mission is successful, what will be the key takeaways for ISRO and when it will plan for a formal launch of Gaganyaan? Because we're learning that it will happen somewhere in the year 2025.
Well, this is the first testing exercise that is going to be carried out by ISRO in connection with the Gaganyaan mission. In case if this testing exercise becomes a success, ISRO will go ahead with another, they'll have a series of, testing exercises happening in the next, 1 year time. And as you rightly pointed out, the original main Gaganyaan mission is scheduled to take place somewhere, in 2024 or 2025. The time for the, original Gaganyaan mission, the launch time is yet to be decided, but we are given to understand that it will take place in 2024 or 2025, and this is the first testing exercise that ISRO is carrying out in connection with the Gaganyaan mission. And today's testing exercise will demonstrate the safety mechanisms that will be put in place to help the astronauts escape the spacecraft in case of an emergency. For example, when the Gaganyaan mission is originally launched, and if there is an emergency and the mission needs to be aborted, unfortunately, then the 3 astronauts who will be inside the spacecraft, they need to be brought down back to Earth safely. And today's testing exercise will demonstrate this safety, the safety mechanisms that will be put in place to bring back these astronauts, to Earth. The successful completion of today's mission will ensure that, the ISRO's, safety mechanisms that are being built by the astronauts here are in place, and that they are in good working conditions. So we will have to wait and see. So safety mechanisms is the key word here. Today's testing exercise is solely related to testing the safety mechanisms of future.
All right, Dharani. Well, many